Hey there, welcome to Relationships Are Hard. Today we're going to be talking about parenting and relationships. So, I don't know who needs to hear this out there, but I want to tell you. If you are in a relationship and the other person with whom you are in the relationship is your co-parent, and you kind of hate each other sometimes, especially if you're parenting young kids, I want you to know this makes you absolutely normal. The research shows that approximately 2/3 of couples report a decline in overall relationship happiness after they have children. Of those people, the unhappiest are women in heterosexual relationships. And we'll get to talking about why that is. So here's the deal. I get a lot of people in my office who come in with their partners and they're feeling absolutely miserable and they cannot figure out why, and they're quite certain that they're the only ones that feel this way. I'm here to tell you it is absolutely not true. Here's the deal. We're going to talk about what's happening in the moment when you're raising young kids, and then I want to add a little bit of specific stuff about what's happening that's unique to the time period we're in right now with the COVID and the pandemic situation. So first off, there are a lot of reasons why you and your partner might not be liking each other very much. Let me go through a few of them. The first is the change in identity that comes when you become a parent. Before that, you're in the relationship. You each have your own individual identity, and then you also have the relationship identity. Enter in a new little being that requires a shitload of attention and resources and time and energy and money and all sorts of things. It changes who you are. You're suddenly parents. You're not just individuals. You're not just a couple. You're something else. And people even outside of your world will start referring to you as something else. I remember so clearly when I had my oldest son, suddenly within the moment he was born, I was no longer Kate, and everybody around me seemed to just be calling me mom. From the grocery store clerk to the pediatrician to even some people I knew from my job. I couldn't stand it. And I definitely didn't want to be just mom to my partner. So that made it difficult. So there's all that stuff going on, and each of the people in the relationship are struggling with all that. There's also a lot of physical changes happening. Obviously, if you just give birth to a child, you're going to have a ton of stuff going on with your body. Hormones are real, and there's a lot of pain and healing that comes from even the best birth situation. If you have a baby, though, even if you didn't give birth to the baby, that still requires a lot of physical changes. There's a lot less sleep, a lot more hands-on caretaking, and that requires a lot of energy. That's a huge shift. And I don't know too many people who are sleep deprived, have no energy, and are possibly in pain that feel like they really want to be close with anyone, right? The other thing that happens, and I think this is probably one of the biggest and why people end up feeling like something's actually wrong with them, that they're not getting along with their partner, are these absolutely outrageous expectations we have. One for parents and one for couples. So for parents, we expect so much from parents these days. It's ridiculous. You're supposed to be doing everything right, spending quality time, reading every day, no screens, the kind of food they have, the diapers they wear, the clothes they have, who they're spending time. It is on and on and on and on. And everywhere you turn, there's a new expectation and there's judgment about the way you're not doing it right. I swear to God, every time I open social media, there's some sort of thing about the ways that you're screwing up your kids, all the things that you shouldn't be doing. That's a lot of pressure on anyone. The other thing is the expectations that we all have about parenting, right? We don't know that we have them necessarily, sometimes until the kid comes along and all you know is you're real pissed off at your partner that they're not doing it the wrong way. Had I asked you prior to that, you wouldn't even know you had those expectations. That requires a lot of frustration, or it causes a lot of frustration in a partnership. The other thing is all these expectations we have about coupledom. Right? We want so much out of our partner. We expect so much. This person does, as Esther Perel says, what a village used to do. We want them to be our lover. We want them to be our best friend. We want them to be our financial partner, our co-parenting partner, our house managing partner, our business advisor, all the things, right? That's already a lot of pressure on just the couple. Suddenly now you have this other little baby that needs so much, and there's no room for any of this. None of us can do all this well all the time, and especially when you're totally adjusting to figuring out how to be a parent. So again, this is normal. If you are struggling, it is normal. Now, the time period we're in specifically with COVID, let's add a whole other layer of why things might not be going so well, or what might make it harder to get along with your partner. We are mired in stress. Whether you realize it or not, we are in the midst of a global trauma. All of us, I don't care who you are being impacted by it, whether you know someone who is imminently sick or has passed away or is struggling with a job or anything else. We're all being impacted by even the news intake and everything that you're hearing about being stuck in the house and everything else that goes along with it. That puts your nervous system and your entire system under immense amounts of stress. When we're under that kind of stress, we go into full survival mode. Now keep in mind, if you've been raising a child, and let's say you have multiple kids under the age of 5, so these are all children that require all kinds of hands-on care. These are not kids who can make their own breakfast, who can go to the bathroom by themselves, who can put themselves to bed. These are children who require a lot of caretaking and energy. You're already fairly in survival mode. Add on what's going on now, and you sort of double down on that stress and survival mode. Once you're in survival mode, your brain starts to do everything differently. All it focuses on is surviving. It gets real primal all of a sudden, right? And what your brain is doing then is it is scanning all the time for more threats. And when you're under stress, everything feels like a threat. There's a really brilliant sex therapist, her name's Emily Nagoski, and she talks about the fact that everything becomes a lion. Your system reads all these threats as if there's a lion chasing you. Every single thing that happens, your body, your brain, everything responds as if there's a lion. So you can imagine, if you feel like a lion's chasing you all the time, you don't really want to have sex when a lion's chasing you. You don't really want to read to your baby or change diapers. You probably want to run or hide or do anything you can to survive. So that's essentially what's going on. So you can imagine there is very little space left for your partner. So here's what I want to say. This is a moment when lowering your expectations can be really useful. Now, I'm not saying don't care about your partner. I'm not saying be happy with a shitty, sad, unhappy relationship. No, but I'm not sure that the time between when your children are 0 to about 5, and that means all of them, that this is going to be the time that you have the most fulfilling, deeply satisfying relationship. If you are of that 1/3 of the population that does not report decreased happiness, yay for you, and I hope you're figuring it out and we can all learn something from you. But if you're like the majority and you're really struggling, I hope that you know that it's okay to just be getting by right now. Now, there's some caveats. You cannot just put your relationship up on the shelf entirely and expect that when you come up for air, when the youngest one goes off to school, that everything's going to be hunky-dory. As a matter of fact, I would say probably the biggest number of people that show up at my office are exactly in that stage of life where the youngest one has gone off to school and suddenly they come up for air after all this hands-on child rearing and they look at each other and they're like, I kind of hate you. That's usually when they call me. So, it requires a little bit of addition. I'm not talking date nights. I think the prescription for date nights for couples who are raising small children is monstrously impossible. And then I think it sets up one more thing that makes people feel like they're failing. So, I believe in date nights. I love them. I think they're wonderful. I think they're really, really, really challenging when you are working outside of your house, raising small children, running around like a chicken with your head cut off the time, and maybe feeling financially strapped. That's often all in the mix, right? So, you need small doses. The thing that these couples in the 1/3 that noticed that they didn't feel unhappy reported finding the friendship. That means just like, what did you guys talk about before? Have a moment where you sit over a beer or something the way you would and check in with your partner like they're your friend. That's going to stand you in good stead, especially when stuff like sex is just not happening for the moment. The other thing is small doses of physical affection. I can't really count the number of people that will say to me, look, I like sex, I enjoy it, I love my partner, I want to have sex with them, but I like sleep better. Understandable. When you're sleep deprived, nothing else really functions very well. So don't put so much pressure on yourself. It can be small acts of physical affection, a rub on the back, a hug. 20 seconds of a hug gets all those good feelings going. The oxytocin starts to flow in your system. You might be getting that from your baby, but you also need it from your partner, and you need to give it to your partner. Any little bits of physical affection, even if you feel like you can't stay awake to even watch a 25-minute show on Netflix. Do a 10-minute, sit next to each other on the couch. The point is, find small ways to connect, but let's lower the pressure. Stop believing the bullshit that's on Instagram and Facebook when you see those pictures. I promise you, they're coming to my office too and telling me how miserable they are. The long and the short of it is, as always, I want you to know that what you're experiencing is 100% normal. This is not the phase of your life where everything is going to be incredible. Please cut yourselves a little slack, be kind to yourselves and be kind to each other. And remember, relationships are hard. If you want more information, please subscribe, just hit the button below. You can also reach me via my website, which is kateenglerrelationships.com.